Steelers Nation, what's up? Our team is working harder than ever to improve and bring those big-time results we all want to see. And with that, we've got some huge updates on the quarterback situation in Pittsburgh. Mason Rudolph's contract. Details have finally been revealed, and there's talk of another potential QB move involving the Titans. You don't want to miss this one. But before we dive in, hit that like button to support the channel. And if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for all the latest Steelers updates. All right, let's get into it. So, let's start with the man who stepped up big last season, Mason Rudolph. When he agreed to return to Pittsburgh a couple of weeks ago, the initial reports had his deal at around $8 million over 2 years, with $4.5 million guaranteed. But now we've got the official details, and they're a little different. According to Over the Cap, the real numbers are a 2-year, $7.5 million contract with $3 million guaranteed. That guaranteed money comes from a prorated signing bonus, which helps the Steelers manage the cap situation a bit better. In 2025, Rudolph will have a $1.5 million base salary with a $3 million cap hit. If, somehow, the Steelers decided to release or trade him post-June 1st, which is highly unlikely, they'd save $1.5 million but also take on that same amount in dead money. In 2026, his salary jumps to $3 million, with a $4.5 million cap hit. So if the Steelers moved on at that point, they'd save $3 million but again take on $1.5 million in dead money. The bottom line? Pittsburgh has locked in a solid insurance policy at QB without tying themselves down financially. But here's the key question. Is Mason Rudolph the Steelers' guy for next season? He's currently projected to be the starter, but that could change depending on what happens next. We all know the Steelers are still in the hunt for Aaron Rodgers. And despite Rudolph signing back, the door is still wide open for a Rodgers move. In fact, nothing about Rudolph's deal really affects Pittsburgh's pursuit of the 4-time MVP. Rodgers recently spent time at the Steelers facility, meeting with ownership and offensive coordinator Arthur Smith. The reports from that meeting were overwhelmingly positive, with some insiders saying things went beyond the pitch and straight into football discussions. That's a big deal. It means both sides are serious. But as always, Rodgers is taking his time making a decision. So where does that leave Rudolph? Well, if the Steelers do land Rodgers, Mason likely slides into the backup role. If they don't, he's still in line to be QB1 unless the team makes another move. And that brings us to our next topic. Now, here's where things get interesting. ESPN analyst Evan Cohen recently threw out an unexpected idea. If Pittsburgh misses out on Aaron Rodgers, they should trade for Tennessee Titans QB Will Levis. His reasoning? Well, according to Cohen, Levis isn't great, but he's better than having no plan at all. He even doubled down on social media, saying the Steelers should trade for Levis regardless of whether they land Rodgers or not. Now, let's break this down. Would Levis really be a good fit in Pittsburgh? In 2023, he showed flashes of talent as a rookie, finishing the year with 1,808 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 4 interceptions. But in 2024, he struggled with a shoulder injury and eventually lost his starting job to none other than Mason Rudolph. That's right. Rudolph actually replaced Levis in Tennessee, which makes this trade idea pretty awkward. On top of that, the Titans are widely expected to draft QB Cam Ward with the first overall pick. That would make Levis expendable, meaning he's likely on the trade block. But should the Steelers really go after him? The short answer? Probably not. If Pittsburgh signs Rodgers, there's no need for Levis at all. Even if they don't, rolling with Rudolph and drafting a young QB makes way more sense than trading for a guy who just got benched. Right now, the Steelers' quarterback situation is the biggest question mark on the roster. The team is still in pursuit of Aaron Rodgers, and at this point, it seems like his only options are signing with Pittsburgh or retiring. There's been some chatter about the Minnesota Vikings potentially making a late push, but for now, that seems like a long shot. Here's where things get really interesting. After the 2024 season, Steelers president Art Rooney II made it clear that the team's plan was to move forward with either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields as the starter. The team made a real effort to re-sign Fields, but when it came to Wilson, not so much. Instead, Fields took a deal with the New York Jets, and the Steelers explored other options, including Matthew Stafford and Sam Darnold. But here's the bombshell. NFL insider Adam Schefter just revealed that Rooney himself has been directly involved in the quarterback search. This isn't just general manager Omar Khan and head coach Mike Tomlin making these calls. Rooney is reportedly playing a major role in deciding who the Steelers are targeting. On a recent episode of ESPN's First Take, Schefter said, "Ownership has been involved in all of this. They've been involved. They were in on Matthew Stafford. Let's not pass the ball to management. This is ownership too." That's a major revelation because up until now, the belief was that Khan and Tomlin were leading the charge. But if Rooney is stepping in and making decisions about the most important position on the team, it raises some serious questions. When owners start meddling in football operations, it's usually for reasons beyond just winning games. Things like ticket sales, jersey revenue, and media attention often come into play. Look at the Green Bay Packers. As the only publicly owned team in the NFL, they've had a rock-solid quarterback situation for 30 years. There's no one behind the scenes making decisions based on business interests. It's strictly football. Now, contrast that with the Steelers, where ownership is apparently playing a big role in trying to land a big-name quarterback. One of the most intriguing pieces of this story is the Steelers' pursuit of Matthew Stafford. Schefter added more context, explaining that while the Steelers were interested, they ultimately decided not to go all in. With Matthew Stafford, at some point in time early on, the Pittsburgh Steelers could have gone all in and said, "You know what? We're going to give up our first-round pick," Schefter said. Is that what they wanted to do? No, not for a 37-year-old quarterback, but they could have done that. They opted not to. They did not offer that. This lines up with what we've been hearing. The Rams were never truly committed to trading Stafford. They were testing the market, seeing what kind of draft capital they could get, and eventually decided to lock him into a new deal. But it's clear the Steelers were one of the few serious contenders in the mix. Now, here's where things get concerning. The Steelers have some critical decisions to make in the coming months, and they need to have the right people making those calls. Rodgers seems to be the most likely candidate to start in 2025, but beyond that, what's the long-term plan? Do the Steelers trade up in the draft for a rookie? Do they try to develop someone like Mason Rudolph? Do they take a chance on a younger quarterback with upside? These are football decisions, ones that should be made by Omar Khan and the coaching staff, not ownership. If the Steelers plan to invest heavily in a young quarterback, whether it's trading up in the 2025 draft or waiting until 2026, that move needs to be made with football in mind, not ticket sales or branding. History has shown that teams with overly involved owners in football operations often struggle. Just look at franchises like Washington and Dallas, where ownership interference has led to decades of inconsistency. If Pittsburgh wants to build a sustainable winner, Rooney needs to trust the experts and let them do their jobs. So there you have it, Steelers Nation. Mason Rudolph's contract is official, Aaron Rodgers is still in play, and now we've got crazy trade rumors about Will Levis. A lot is happening, and we're not even at the draft yet. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Mason Rudolph should be the starter in 2025, or should the Steelers go all in on Aaron Rodgers? And what about this Will Levis idea? Does it make any sense, or should Pittsburgh steer clear? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget, smash that like button if you enjoyed the video, and make sure to subscribe for all the latest Steelers updates. We've got a huge offseason ahead, and you won't want to miss any of it. Thanks for watching, and as always, here we go, Steelers!